Say howdy to Nick Cornies.
I had every intention when I took that job of doing that job from start to finish.
Nick is full of excuses.
I just suffered COVID.
Nick is full of remorse.
I feel bad about those jobs. I really do.
Do you? But some of his customers say Nick is just full of it.
He had COVID like 3 times. His truck broke down. He got into a car accident.
Everything he was telling me was a lie.
Nick Cornies is a contractor so low, he took money from a cancer patient and bailed on the job. He knows you're sick, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You've heard of corn on the cob. This is Cornies on the cob.
I've seen you do reports on these guys, and I'm like, I never wanted to be that guy.
You were gonna be that guy. Christy and her husband Chuck live out in the country. They have a nice life with a nice house and a pond, but they got bad news.
Chuck was diagnosed with multiple myeloma last year.
Chuck needed a sterile room to recuperate in after cancer treatments, so they got the idea to build a sunroom. Problem is, they hired a shady guy to build it, Nick Cornies.
We were stupid and trustworthy, and we were going in the middle of Chuck's chemo, and we trusted him. I mean, he's a neighbor.
Yep, Nick lives on the other side of the lake in Davisburg. The couple used him before as a handyman.
We hired him. He fixed things on the house. He painted some of our rooms, and we trust him.
For the sunroom, they paid Nick $29,000, and this is all they got.
We gave him the money. They dug the footings. He hired somebody to dig the footings, and then he disappeared.
There's him busting my floor right there.
That's him with a sledgehammer?
Yep.
Matthew hired Nick Cornies to put in new floors. He lives in the country too, out in Oxford.
We trusted him. That was the bad part.
Country trust goes country boss.
He broke the subfloor. He broke the joists in the basement, swinging a sledgehammer, trying to remove the kitchen tiles.
All that pounding upstairs did a number a floor below. Look at the ceiling in Matthew's basement. Cornies said he'd fix everything. Good luck with that.
He strung me along for like 4 weeks and telling me I'm sick, I'm in the hospital, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna finish. He never came back.
Matthew sued Nick Cornies for the more than $5,000 he'd paid him, but Cornies wasn't gonna pay Matthew back. Instead, Nick lickety-split filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. That wiped out the judgment Matthew got and a bunch of other debts Cornies accumulated, like this Cornies construction customer who won a giant judgment. The complaint says, as a result of Cornies remodeling and Cornies conduct, we have incurred substantial damages in an amount of at least $129,018. That family told me they didn't want to talk on camera because they say Cornies creeped them out. And I can understand why. Cornies has a criminal record. He was in prison from 2013 to 2016. According to the Department of Corrections, Cornies has been convicted of assault with a dangerous weapon, resisting police, giving false information to police, taking money under false pretenses, forgery, and uttering and publishing. This guy's been convicted of more than 10 felonies. And Cornies' home is not exactly howdy folks country inviting. He flies a black flag out front. He's got cameras and signs all over the place warning people, stay out. He uses social media to advertise his business, and he looks like a nice down-home country cat on Facebook, but a Pinterest page in his name shows a little darker side. Well, I'm Pinterested in talking to him, and here he comes out of the Cornies crib. I need to talk to you about some of these jobs you did for some people a while ago.
Who would that be?
Christy and Chuck.
Yeah.
What happened with that?
No comment.
Christy and Chuck sued Nick right after his bankruptcy debt was dismissed, so their judgment against him still stands. He owes them $20,000.
I still lose sleep about it, and I still think about it.
All those nights tossing and turning, and Nick's only been able to come up with a couple $100 a month to pay his victims back. All of a sudden, Nick volunteers this.
I've been sober now 8 years.
Not that I asked, but good for you. Then I asked about Matthew and the demolition nightmare Nick did to his house.
He's on my amends list.
Corny says his crew wrecked the house, not him.
They had taken a sledgehammer and smashed the entire floor.
But Matt took a video, and he says that's Nick swinging the sledge. I asked Nick about the family who paid him more than $120,000, and he ended up botching the job. What happened to $125,000?
That all got spent on materials and labor. I made no money on that job.
Do you know what you're doing? You don't have a license or anything, right?
I'm on my way to getting my license right now.
Well, I hope you're getting a ride because I found out not only does Cornies not have a builder's license, he doesn't even have a valid driver's license. So you say you've been sober for 8 years?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I applaud you getting sober, but I mean, that means you did all these jobs when you were sober. So
Yeah,
how'd you make such a mess out of
Because
yourself?
I had every intention of getting it done.
I don't even know what that means. Remember, he's the one who bailed out on the jobs, regardless of his intention. I tell Nick he's going on TV and he's not happy. In fact, he's real sad.
Who is ever going to want to hire me?
Well, you know, maybe that's what the victims want. They don't want you to get hired. They don't think they're going to get their money, and they want to warn other people not to use you. I don't know how I ended up having to console this guy.
I might as well just go get a job at Home Depot.
I show Christy and Chuck some of my conversation with Cornies.
Just suffered COVID, lost everything.
Again?
Remember, they say he used the I have COVID excuse on them a bunch of times.
I've been sober now 8 years. And
What?
So that's baloney.
He said he went radio silent because he was in rehab.
Rehab for substance abuse just last June, not 8 years ago. I show Matthew video of Nick telling me his crew wrecked the floor, not him. He said, one of my guys swung the sledgehammer, blah, blah, blah.
He's on video, so it's him.
Hey, Nick Cornies, there's hardly a kernel of truth to what you have to say. You're in the Hall of Shame. Nick Cornies contacted the victims in this story after we met. He paid Matthew $500 and he paid Christy and Chuck $800. He also contacted the family that sued him and won $129 grand in that judgment that got wiped out in Nick's bankruptcy. That family told me they want nothing to do with that guy.